Hey kids, what time is it?
It's kind of like watching TV, but, in your car.
104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens. We're in the studio, episode 215, Dark Side of the Stream. This week was Jay's pick.
Yeah, of course, you know it was.
And he actually, I had him go through his boxes at home, and he goes, "Bro, you'll never guess what I have." A copy of Girls Gone Wild on VHS.
Girls Gone Wild documentary.
So if you're a man and you're, I don't know, Tyler, did you ever see? Let me ask you this, Tyler. Did you ever see any Girls Gone Wild infomercials growing up? No. So Tyler is
Gone Wild is.
Tyler is in his early 20s. So we'll say if you
Tyler does not know it.
No, he's never. That's what I'm saying.
Never heard of
no,
it.
Well, see, we'll get into this in a second. Okay. So if you were, I would guess now, probably in your mid 30s. Would be the cutoff till beyond to in your mid 50s. Yeah, probably. If you stayed up late at night, even hell past 9 o'clock, and watched MTV, VH1, Comedy Central. I mean, every shows that you watched.
It was not big pharma ads.
Was literally wall to wall Girls Gone Wild ads.
Yeah,
and
censored. It would be censored right across the chest.
Me personally, I can say this for 42 years of my life, even though I saw those commercials a million times, I have never in my life actually sat down and watched a Girls Gone Wild video.
Me neither.
Never seen it.
Amazingly enough, me neither.
I've never seen anyone that I know. No one's ever been like, I knew someone in one. Let's check this out.
Yes, I do know something.
We'll get into that in a minute because we definitely opened that can of worms in the last episode before we go into that. But so I personally, it is a very interesting piece of our history as America that this is involved in it. But like I said, from the mid to late 90s to the early 2000s, if you watch TV late at night, you saw the commercial for Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah. And this was before the internet. You got to remember.
Yes. It's hard for a kid like Tyler to believe that.
I know Tyler goes, what? I can see that on my phone in 1 minute.
You used to pay to see girls without their shirts off, dude. Back in the day.
That's how dumb we were back then, Tyler.
Bro, even before that, back in the day, there was the trick where if you had cable, you could sometimes tune it to the nudie channels, and it would give you like a weird
late at night, and it'd be
Cinemax or
lines.
Showtime, and it would give you a little. Sometimes you'd get a little piece of the action.
I think I see something.
That's the type, girls. Tyler, that's the type of world we lived in.
Yeah,
and
you got it easy, kids.
And now these kids are like,
he's probably
what?
Watching something right now. He's probably watching girls right now.
He's probably on his OnlyFans chicks account right now, telling her how much he loves her.
He manages an OnlyFans. He'd probably be a good manager.
Dude, you should. That's the money right there. You could produce for her.
You be the producer.
You could produce for her, live in a mansion with a bunch of other girls.
Come see us at the studio if you'd like to have your own OnlyFans page.
Easy.
Come to 1047 The Cave.
Magic Tyler will make your dreams.
We have a studio. Look at this beautiful studio. This is a great OnlyFans studio right here.
So, I'm sure they'd love for that to happen. Anyway, so bottom line is this. If you lived in this country from the late 90s, early 2000s, more specifically a man in your teens through your 20s, you definitely saw Girls Gone Wild commercial. Whether you pulled the trigger and bought it, that's on you. But
you just say the name, and Girls Gone Wild. It's a brand. It's a brand.
And Joe Francis was the one who created it, and that's what this documentary that we watched, a 3-parter on Peacock, right? Yeah. About him and how it got started. And again, I think it was just a kid that had a lot of gumption,
had a great idea. Yeah.
And ran with it. He didn't start exploiting women. He was actually exploiting everyone. It was like Real TV or something. It was kind of like one of those E-channel kind
just
of...
like a hustler, a hustler kind of guy.
Once he figured out how he could do it and make money off of it, dude made so much money off of, again, exploiting very young and intoxicated
just drunk
women.
Girls, willing to show their chests for the cameras.
And we might know someone a little close to home, and we'll be talking about that next. Dark Side of the Stream, I'm 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern, back in the studio. We are discussing the Girls Gone Wild documentary on Peacock on this episode of Dark Side of the Stream. Okay, we kind of laid the groundwork. Everyone knows what Girls Gone Wild is. You'd
have to order a video. You'd have to call a number, give them a credit card, and order a video cassette.
Or a DVD.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's like, right? Dude, I don't...
Old school, baby.
Again, what people would do for this stuff, it just blows my mind. And I think
Boys are just so dumb.
Me,
boys are so silly.
Me personally, like, I'm not a prude or by any chance. I mean, like, that's the furthest from what I am. But I always was never like a hang the bike girls calendar in my house. Like, I didn't have a nudie picture of some chick on my wall.
No,
when it just wasn't my jam. So like this stuff really again wasn't like yeah.
My everyday life was a Girls Gone Wild.
Yeah, it
video,
still
basically.
is kind of. And sometimes he's the one that takes his shirt off, and sometimes it's other people.
Every night, some girl, at least one.
Somebody does. So when we were talking about the possibility of doing this documentary last time, Jay said that he actually knows someone that was.
Yeah, I have never actually seen it, but I was told by her that she was in a Girls Gone Wild video.
Is that all the story you got? Did she tell you like they were out drinking and they're like you?
On Lake boat's party, you know.
Did they do it? They just did it on the boat. They didn't like take him to a bus or anything like that.
Just like on the boat, flashing.
Oh, okay. So it could have been. It
wasn't deep behind the scenes knowledge.
Because what I understand after why, because again, like I never saw it, but I get there were like the two versions of how this would go down.
Right.
They would go out to a public place like Lake of the Ozarks, a bunch of hot girls
bars,
there.
Florida bars.
You want a shirt? You want this? We'll get you to take your shirt off, and then they walk around and they do that. Then the other one was the girls that wanted to do more.
Yeah, you want to come on the bus?
They would take them on the bus and do more
hotel
with.
room.
Which again, or wherever they were staying. But it just to me was just like I don't for the life of me, it's like exploitation. It's what it is. Don't get me confused with this. Like women and men that work in the adult entertainment industry, OnlyFans, whatever. If that's where your hustle is to make money, that's your hustle.
Well,
you're not getting exploited. You have made the choice to do that. But if you are going and taking advantage of girls that are 18, 19 that are extremely intoxicated, I think that's exploitation.
Yeah, there's a fine line there for sure.
And I think that's exactly what it is.
Going out to a rock concert, showing your boobs, that's tale as old as time. It's fun. It's wild.
Again,
crazy, no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, going to the bus, the hotel room,
signing NDAs.
We'll give you some money to do a little bit more.
Yeah,
that crosses a blurry line.
I like you're there, and it is what it is. But to me, it's exploitation, and that in itself is part of the reason I think that I'm not going to say that I've never walked into a strip club, but it's not like my thing because I always view, especially like in places like Vegas, where you see it's so rampant. I mean, God, last year when I was there, I was at a table 5 minutes, dude, and it was just one right after the next. What are you doing tonight? Where's your wife? Are you alone tonight? Just constantly.
Well, that happens to me every weekend.
Well,
they're
not
different. Asking for money though.
That's different in your lifestyle and mine. But again, like to me, the personal choice I made is I don't want to be a part of that industry, whether it's, contributing to a dancer or whatever. I feel like me stepping into that world is contributing to the badness of what that is. Now, I know that's very hypocritical of someone that has been a very staunch and past drug user, because in that same argument, you could say that me being a drug user in my early years contributed to the drug war and the badness that comes along with that. So yes, that is also true, and you would be right in making that, but at least I wasn't exploiting young women in that regard.
Good.
But yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of women that are in their mid 40s, 50s now with kids and grandchildren that
Yeah, but
right there. I mean, this chick right here, come on, this is the second one.
Somebody's grandma now.
She's definitely a professional woman somewhere. She's probably got 2 or 3 kids. She probably definitely doesn't look like that.
I mean, lifting your shirt is not a really big deal.
No,
and when you, like I said, when you cross the line, the other stuff, okay, cool. But just lifting your shirt,
and I think it's also it's an American problem because you look in Europe. You look at other countries, it's not taboo.
Yeah, girls go.
But for some reason,
everywhere.
Because we over tabooed it and made it so,
like Tyler.
it's like it's there. We've got him too, man. He's got some.
But the guy that put this together is what the documentary is about, and it goes down an interesting journey on his whole.
Yeah, and where he still is now. Yeah. And we'll talk about Mr. Joe Francis next on Dark Side of Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Jay Stevens, Mike the Intern back. Dark Side of the Stream episode 215 discussing Girls Gone Wild, and we've laid the groundwork. We've discussed the videos and our
If
takes on it.
This is Guys Gone Wild.
But
right
really,
now.
yeah.
Dude, where's my pants?
But really, this is about Joe Francis, the guy who is behind Girls Gone Wild. Interesting cat,
I'm going to
interesting
go on a
stories.
limb and say this is the kind of guy Mike the Intern hates.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's like exploiting.
like these kind of guys.
Well, because he's exploiting everyone.
No,
And-
but I think just his style. Like
yeah,
money,
and
flashy cars, hey, I'm a
but
party
it's
guy.
exploitive. That's
Yeah,
just
you
what
don't like
he
that
exploited everyone. Which the funny to me, I mean, it is. He got what you got. The incident where somebody broke into his house, tied him up naked, put a sexual instrument next to his head, and filmed him to blackmail him. That whole thing was insane. But you know what? Karma's a wheel, my guy.
Well, and
I'm sure a few of these girls probably felt exactly the way you did.
Yeah. If you're in seedy situations, like seedy stuff happens, you know? So it's that lifestyle can bring fun, wild times, can also bring some sketchy stuff.
And
you know?
again, you're exploiting a bunch of these girls. How many pissed off daddies and boyfriends and husbands do you think this guy had after him?
Yeah, yeah. That's why the dude's in hiding down in Mexico. Or
Well,
whatever,
part
you
of
know?
it, he's also because there's a lot of criminal charges that are still pending against him in the United States. And since we don't take the extradition treaty with Mexico is still kind of, he's currently still in Mexico as of right now. He's been there since 2015, 7, 8 years.
In hiding.
Which
How funny is it that he got that he has daughters? That he had daughters.
Again,
for being a ladies' man, just like me. I get
karma's a wheel.
Yep.
Karma's a wheel, my
so
friend.
He got girls. Yep.
Put out, you'll get back what you put out, and I'm sure one day he probably will, or if not already. But do you think if we could sit down, Mr. Joe Francis, and ask him, after being in Mexico for 8 years without his family, being on the run for the rest of his life, at least,
Can't be.
is it worth it? Was it worth it?
I bet he'll say it is, but I don't think it is, you know?
No.
Not at all. It's like these guys that have so much money and then they end up going to jail, and it's like, was it all worth it? You could have probably had half the amount of money and been out of jail and living a nice life rather than going for broke and getting, like P. Diddy. He was the big mogul, tons of money. Why go to the next level and then, now look.
And it just goes to show you the garbage industry
Tyler,
that
can
is.
we
that
send you to a P. Diddy party?
We covered,
Just you
yeah,
report
freak off.
back?
You want to go to freak off, buddy? God, every day, every day is a freak off for Tyler.
Here at the station, it's your own freak off.
So
Tyler.
yeah, I don't know if we could ask him how he'd feel about it, but at the end of the day, good, bad, or indifferent,
He seems to
left
not
his
care.
mark. But you know what? I'm happy. I'm really, really happy right now because we're in this room with a kid that's in his 20s who's never heard of this guy, never heard of this video series. So that ultimately is the best revenge, in my opinion, is just to forget about it and move on.
Nobody knows about him anymore. He was
Especially
a real
for
big
people
deal
like
in
that.
Hollywood
Yeah,
for a while.
yeah.
Joe Francis was a big deal. All the celebrities. It's weird that all these rich guys that go down for doing crazy stuff, they all were rubbing elbows with all the celebrities at one point.
I'll tell you something about that. I'll tell you something about the industry and the people they rub elbows with and the people they protect.
Yeah.
Not the best.
Not the best.
Not the best at all. We'll talk about whether or not this was the best documentary next when we return. Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 215. This
Now
week
on
we
video as
did
well.
Girls Gone Wild documentary. You can watch the 3-part episode on Peacock.
Here it is right here.
How many
The cassette.
broken,
The
bootlegged, copied DVDs?
How many recopied
ripped off?
VHS tapes?
I'm sure that was a thing.
I'll give it a 2.5. Didn't do anything crazy for me. No crazy twist. It was
It was just a retelling, and
just
again,
a retelling.
I think it was a little too
I wasn't
long.
familiar with the whole story. You know, it's interesting, but
Some of the bad stuff that happened to him after.
Yeah.
I think, again, they did the best thing it could possibly do. Whoever the sales rep was that sold this guy on the infomercial commercial schedule that
I think
he
he made
did.
up the idea himself. Is what he's saying.
But again,
Brilliant.
like they still had to sell him time.
He worked. He made
That
a
rep,
load of money, man.
dude, that rep's
Yeah.
probably still sitting on a
Yep.
beach somewhere because of that deal all
Yeah.
day.
It was a smart
again,
marketing
but
plan.
it's like I said, they're exploiting young women like all day. Like that's exactly what that whole thing is. So yeah, straight solid 2.
They tried it with dudes. They had Guys Gone
Yeah,
Wild.
I'm sure how popular was that.
Tyler, did you see any of the Guys Gone Wild videotapes?
He's never heard
No?
about that one either. So yeah, solid 2. Next week, since Jay wanted to throw this garbage at me, I'm actually going to send him something that I believe everyone in their entire life should watch, especially if you want to understand what it's like to be a true leader, what it's like to lead men to the point where even after you all almost die, you're willing to sign up for the next trip with this guy.
Whoa. Sounds like us
His
here at the
name
station.
was Shackleton. He led an expedition to the Antarctica and the South Pole in the early 1900s on a ship called the Endurance. They make you read this book. If you're in the Navy as a private, everyone has to read it.
What?
Yep. And
so it's a documentary. Where is the documentary at?
It's on Disney Plus. They made it last year. I think National Geographic did it. But anyway, the book I read late last year, and finally after years and years of being told to read it, and it was hands down one of the most incredible books, nonfiction books I've ever read.
Wow.
What these guys went through is unbelievable. The fact that they actually have photos from the expedition that I was showing Jay, colored photos of the ship basically being,
looks like a video game,
but it's real. Wow. And you can see photographers like standing there with these giant tripods, and I can't wait to talk about this, man.
Disney
I don't even have to watch. I don't
pumped.
even really have to. The only reason I'm watching it is because a lot of it has to do with them finding the ship again under the water. So that's why I'm going to watch it. But as far as the story, it's still fresh in my mind. It's an incredible book. And again, if you're even listening to it, man, if you like these self-help gurus and these people that they put in front of your work, bosses and management to sit down on a lunch and to hear motivational speak, screw that stuff. Read Endurance if you want to know what true leadership actually is.
All right.
You can watch us do this every Thursday on YouTube or Facebook at 9 a.m. I play at the same time during my show. Jay plays it at 6 p.m. during his. And then, of course, we upload this as a podcast for free on our 104.7
You have
The Cape
no
app.
excuse to not hear what we say.
And props out to our the
producer,
who the animal rescuers.
Oh yeah,
PETA.
shout out to PETA for being big listeners of our show. We're nationally recognized podcast.
You're not gonna. There's a big part in the Endurance documentary that you are not gonna like.
PETA's not gonna like.
No. But again. We're species of survival, and you got to do what you want to do to survive sometimes, whether or not you will.
Right.
That is in itself. But either way, I'm Mike the Intern. That's Jay Stevens reminding you we watch movies, so you don't have to. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.